recent images from NASA's Webb telescope were stunning. But if you're like me, you have no idea what really you're looking at. Fortunately, our Women Wednesday guest is an expert. Dr. Moiya McTier is an astrophysicist who holds a PhD from Columbia and has turned her attention from research to science communication to help all of us understand what is happening in the universe and why it matters so much. Doctor, thanks so much for being here. It's great to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
What got you into the field of science?
My mom always wanted me to be a scientist, but it took me until college to fall in love with astronomy, and it was actually just a really good teacher that got me into it, like always.
And what about space? What intrigued you most about space?
It's so big.
Yeah.
It's so big, and we can study it when we're trapped here on our tiny little pale blue dot, and I think that's so cool.
Well, you say that makes me think. You think we're the only, the only living organisms out there, on Earth, just on Earth?
Okay, I'm a scientist, so I have to say we don't have the evidence. But between you and me, yeah.
Yeah, you think so?
There are hundreds of billions of planets in our galaxy alone. The fact that we might be the only ones here, it just doesn't make sense to me.
So what would life on these other planets look like?
It would completely depend on what planet they evolved on.
Would they look like us?
Probably not, because most planets in the universe don't look like Earth. They could be gassy, they could be rocky and have much higher gravity. It totally depends.
All right, I want to get to some of these photos that were released from NASA. Let's start with the Stevens Quintet. We're going to show an image of that, and I want you to explain, because I look at this and I feel like it's fake. It doesn't even look like it could be real.
Well, the colors are fake, because what we're seeing is an infrared image. We're looking at kind of the heat signature of these galaxies, and on the far left is a galaxy that's much closer to us than those four galaxies in the background that are all colliding. This is one of the densest images of galaxies that we have, showing that galaxies merge and what happens when they do.
So why is this so special?
All of astronomy is special because it's showing us where we came from. We don't study astronomy to cure cancer or really save lives. We study it to answer those fundamental questions. Where did we come from? Where are we going? What are we doing here?
All right, let's take a look at one of the other images, and it is being called Deep Field.
Yes. Oh, I love this image so much. This is one of the deepest, most detailed images of space that we have. That whole image is the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length. It's a tiny portion of space, but there are thousands of galaxies in that image.
And what is it telling us about billions of years ago?
Right. More than that, we are seeing some galaxies in that image that are only a billion years after the Big Bang, because space is so big that it takes light a lot of time to travel to us. So some of those galaxies are 10 billion light years away, so it takes 10 billion years to get to us.
All right, some may say, though, why is it important that we're able to see that?
Because it lets us know more about how our galaxy formed. We weren't there 10 billion years ago when the Milky Way formed, but we can look at other galaxies that are 10 billion years old and see what baby galaxies look like.
And what do you think is the next frontier? NASA just announced that, we're going to send a couple more people to the moon, including the first person of color and the first woman.
So exciting. Yeah, I think that the next stage is getting more people into space. Maybe not colonizing, but I think it's a really valuable experience, getting human beings off of Earth so that they can look back at it and see like, oh, that's all the humans that exist. And that's a really powerful emotion.
And you say you've observed that there aren't a lot of people of color, there aren't a lot of women in your field, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested in all of this.
Absolutely. There is not a lack of interest. Young girls, people of color are excited about STEM, but the way STEM and academia work pushes people that are marginalized out of the field. It's unfortunate.
So how do we change that?
We have to make the field more welcoming. We have to make sure that we aren't falling into the trap of only advancing people who look like the people who are already in power.
You have a new book. It's called The Milky Way, an autobiography of our galaxy. I know you're extremely proud of it, as you should be.
Thank you.
Talk about what it is.
It is the story of our galaxy from its formation to its eventual end when the universe dies, but it's all written from the perspective of the galaxy. So it's an autobiography, and the Milky Way is very sassy, as I write it.
One way of putting it, I guess.
Yeah, she has a personality.
Okay, and where can people find it?
You can find it anywhere that books are sold. I also read the audiobook myself, so you can listen to me as the galaxy.
And before you go, you know, we're being given these chances now to actually fly to space.
I know.
Space tourism, as it's called. Something that you ever see yourself doing?
I would go to space if it's as safe and common as getting in an airplane, but other than that, I'm very happy here on Earth.
Well, certainly some interesting stuff. Dr. Moiya McTier, thank you so much for joining us and for all your insight.